Hey, I would typically wait until people hop on, but I'm just going to get right into it because I'm not sure anybody's going to show up. So, sorry, I'm reaching over and situating my books. I'm going to show you what I am reading right now. And I typically read a lot of things all at once. And so, right now, I am reading Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I hope this doesn't show up backwards, but I think it probably will. I'm seeing it backwards at least. Anyway, I read this book. This is number 1 in the series, and I read it like 9 years ago? 8 years ago? I think it was 9, actually. Yeah, so I read this 9 years ago for the first time, and it just changed my life. It was like reading Harry Potter. Except, like, you know that feeling that Harry Potter brought you when you were a kid? Well, after Harry Potter ended and I didn't have anything to read anymore or look forward to as far as books went, I kind of fell out of reading, and then I read this, and this blank cover. Oh, and as my sister pointed out when I was on Instagram Live earlier doing this book review, this is where I dropped water. She was like, "What is that?" Because it looks really disgusting. It's just a water stain. Makes me sad. Anyway, so that's what I'm reading. I started reading that in December. Sadly, I have not gotten very far. So, also, my sister-in-law, in December, she let me borrow this book. It's called The Rosie Project, and it follows Don Tillman, he's a genetics professor, and so he's like super smart, but he's on the autistic spectrum, and I don't think he really realizes it. He is essentially Sheldon Cooper looking for a wife. And it's hilarious. It's awesome. I'm really enjoying it. My sister-in-law let me borrow it. Gosh, these are so much fun when people are on here. Hold on. I'm not putting on a mask. Okay. So yeah, it's like Sheldon Cooper, and it's hilarious. It's awesome. I can't help but read this book in his voice because it just makes it that much better. Next, I am reading Partials by Dan Wells. And if you know me, you know that I love Brandon Sanderson, and I also love Dan Wells. They're like my favorites. Anyway, Partials is really good. I've enjoyed it. It's post-apocalyptic in this world where when this cataclysmic event happened, basically the last generation of babies that were born were the last that would be born. Because after that, anytime a woman gets pregnant, she can carry to term, but when she has the baby, it can't survive. And so, because of this event that took place, and so it's their search for the solution to this problem. And it follows Kira, the main character, and she's awesome. She really is. She's awesome. And yeah, essentially she captures one of these people they call a partial, and they basically don't consider them to be human, even though they're exactly like them except for their genetic code. And I am very close to finishing this one. Very, very close. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. So I can't tell you everything. Okay, along with that, I am reading number 4 in the John Wayne Cleaver series. This is The Devil's Only Friend. I've been reading this for just a couple of days. Not really. I only sat down twice to read it, but I'm a good chunk of the way through. Well, I can't tell you about this book because it would ruin the previous 3. So I'm going to talk about I Am Not a Serial Killer. What I like about I Am Not a Serial Killer is it's basically about this kid named John Wayne Cleaver, and he is a sociopath. And it's really unfortunate because he has these gruesome thoughts about harming other people. And he doesn't feel, like, he feels emotions, but he doesn't feel what other people feel toward one another. He studied it. He follows a stringent list of rules, arbitrary rules to get through his life, because he's afraid he'll step out of bounds if he doesn't. And so he's a really enjoyable character. You think, like, oh, he's tempted to kill people? Like, that is disturbing. And it is. It's definitely disturbing. But you love him because he's fighting it. He's fighting this urge. He knows that it's wrong. He doesn't want to be that. But he can feel himself being pulled that way. And it's really unfortunate for him because his mother owns a morgue and runs this embalming... Oh gosh, it's escaping me, the wording. Oh my gosh. Anyway, she's a mortician. She's a mortician. And he helps with that, and she didn't realize for a long time how bad things were with him. And so she lets him do it for a long time. It's just not good for him. It's just not good for him. He thinks it's good for him. I don't know, maybe it is, but he views it as like a release so that he doesn't, like someone said earlier, on my Insta stories, basically it's like Dexter. I'm talking about I'm not a serial killer for the one person who just hopped on. I don't know who you are, but hello. So that's a really good one. I really like that one. It's one of my favorites. On to Real Friends by Shannon Hale. This is a graphic novel, and it's middle grade. If you know Shannon Hale, she did Austenland and the Bay Aaron series, which starts with Goose Girl, and she did Princess Academy and just Book of 1,000 Days, which I loved. That was one of my favorites. Anyway, she's fantastic, and this is kind of her little biography, and she... at least through her elementary school years. So she talks about, here, let me show you. She talks about her relationship with her sister, who she often depicts as a bear when her sister gets angry. Like, she's ferocious and they don't understand each other, see eye to eye. She talks about her sibling relationships and her relationships with her friends and, all sorts of, like, the mean things that kids say when they're young. She depicts that pretty well. So, this was a good one. It was really cute, and it ended really well. I really liked it. And the art was just really beautiful. It's just super interesting to me because it's like, this is so cute. One of my favorite moments. Okay. So after she leaves her old cliquey group of friends that are just mean and awful to her, she finds some new friends, and this is her reaction. Like, in her head, she's like, I'm playing it cool. And in her brain, she's like, oh my gosh. She's like dying. It's so cute. It's just adorable. I just think she's super relatable. So, this is a good one. It was a super quick read, like an hour or two, because it's a graphic novel, and it's a middle grade graphic novel. So it's like Diary of a Wimpy Kid type of thing. Except this is much more girl-centric, but that's okay because actually I think it's super relatable either way. Then this is what I'm reading with my daughter right now. She just turned 6, and so we are reading Matilda by Roald Dahl. And there's just a lot of like British language in this one, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be something that she would understand, but like she follows the story really well. And I have read Matilda before, and if you've watched the movie, you've essentially read the book. It's really quite close. There are a couple things they changed, but that's okay. So yeah, those are the books I am reading right now. Ugh. If I can get this past my keyboard. Mistborn, Final Empire, The Rosie Project, Partials, The Devil's Only Friend. This isn't what I'm reading, but I brought it out. If you want to read the John Wayne Cleaver series, start with I'm Not a Serial Killer, because that will be your best bet. Well, best bet, I don't even know what I'm saying. Just start here, because you don't want to get into farther into the series without having read this one. This one's, it's so good. It'll get you hooked. Oh, something I forgot to mention. It is, so, with this book, something that sideswipes people and something that made my husband stop reading it was there is a fantasy sci-fi element that kind of comes out of left field. Like, there are hints at it, there's foreshadowing for it, but if you don't know going in and you just expect this to be based in 100% true reality, you're not going to like it. I love it, though. I love it. I loved, see, when my husband read this and the fantasy element came in, he was like, I'm done, and he put it down, he couldn't pick it back up. For me, I was like, I'm interested, and then it reached that part, and I was like, I'm hooked. I can't put it down now. So, maybe going in, if you choose to read that one, it'll make it easier. So past that, Real Friends, which is a new one by Shannon Hale, and then Matilda, which is a classic. So that's what I'm reading right now, and I find that reading a bunch of things all at once keeps me at a pretty good pace. I try and read at least one book a week. I'm a mom of 2 young kids, and I do school, and now this YouTube channel, and all sorts of other stuff in my personal life. So life is busy, not just for me, but for everybody. And so I feel like 1 book a week, that's a pretty good deal, pretty good goal. So these are my suggestions. I would say also with this one, with Real Friends, it's good, and you'd like it either